Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video we're talking about PlayStation 4, 3DS, and more. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here talking about PlayStation 4 emulation with RPCSX. We talked about this one the other week when some people who worked on RPCS3 decided to make a PS4 emulator, and they just had a pretty big breakthrough. I'll drop a link to Brutal Sam's YouTube video in the description below, so feel free to check it out, but it appears that We Are Doomed is officially booting. Not playable, but booting. Now it's worth pointing out that this is a far cry from having playable games, and a very far cry from Bloodborne. But at the same time here, this is a pretty big leap forward. If you are curious about RPCSX and wanted to check things out on your own, you absolutely can, but they do say it's not possible to run any games yet, and there is no ETA when this will change. I'll drop a link to their GitHub in the description below and feel free to check it out. And speaking about progress, next up we're talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation on PC and Android with Mikage. And Mikage just released their year in review and everything they've done in the last year. If you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link to the blog post in the description below and feel free to check it out. We've talked about a lot of this stuff in previous videos, and they did showcase a small list of games that work with Mikage. We've got Majora's Mask, VVVVVV, Mario Kart, and Animal Crossing. And unfortunately, at this point in time, there is no version of Mikage that you can try out on your own. But shifting over to things you can try out on your own, and next up we're talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation with Citra, and Citra just got a little bit better. So with the more experimental version of Citra, Citra Canary version 2551, it fixes rendering issues with Metroid Prime Federation Force, possibly fixes rendering issues in other games that perform unaligned texture downloads. And this is big. This is a big performance improvement. It doubles the performance of the software renderer graphics API option in most cases. If you wanted to test this out on your own, you absolutely can. Head to citra-emu.org and click on download. Then click on manual download and pick up the latest Canary build right at the top of the page. You can even try it for Android. Moving on, and we're talking about something amazing, and this article's over on Overkill, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Gaming handhelds like the Switch and Steam Deck will need to have a replaceable battery by 2027. This regulation apparently has been adopted by the European Council this week, but it doesn't go into effect until 2027. So if a device is manufactured in 2026, it doesn't necessarily need a replaceable battery. In my opinion, this will be amazing to keep your system up and running in optimal condition. I mean, batteries start to go just a little bit after a couple of years or possibly even sooner. And for long-term viability of these devices, I mean, it'll be great to swap the battery out before it explodes or has an issue. Next up, we're talking about WipeOut Phantom Edition, which just got a brand new release. And for those who may not be aware, it's an enhanced PC source port of the original WipeOut. It uses game data from the PlayStation version and is much more comparable to the PlayStation version than the official PC port. So as of this video, the latest update is version 1.0.77, and this one adds in a few things. It adds in a configuration for analog stick dead zones, it adds in VSync, and it adds an exclusive full screen mode. This one is free, it's open source, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Next up, we're talking about Daytona USA and the Sega Dreamcast. And if you wanted to play Daytona USA online with up to 3 other people, you can, provided you've got 3 other people to play with and also a North American copy of the game. I'll drop a link to this YouTube video in the description below and feel free to check it out. They show you how to get up and running, and they've got a very helpful connection guide. On top of that, there's 25 games now that run through this service. Now it's worth pointing out that was through DreamPi, which you can use on a Raspberry Pi or on PC with a virtual box. Or alternatively here, you can always check out Fightcade, which has Daytona USA via Flycast, as well as a whole bunch of different games for a whole bunch of systems. And speaking about systems, next up we're talking about Linux. And if you're a fan of the task manager in Windows, you can have something very similar right in Linux. This is called Mission Center. It's free and open source and just got a brand new update. Now, if you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link to the FlatHub in the description below and feel free to check it out. Moving on, and we're talking about a brand new rolling release for Sparky Linux, which is powered by Debian. This one here is called 2023.0.7 and it adds in new Debian repos for non-free firmware, and the live ISO now boots with secure boot enabled by default. If you are a fan of Sparky or haven't tried it out yet, feel free to check this one out and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. And last up here, we're talking about something very weird, or at least very odd. If you're a Genshin Impact fan, and there appears to be a whole lot of them out there, well, you may be excited to know that they have collaborated with OnePlus for a brand new OnePlus 11. Unfortunately, there is nothing special about the phone. It just appears to be a OnePlus 11. However, there is a gift box that comes with the phone. That's a Genshin Impact gift box. So as far as I know here, this is going to be limited to 1,000 units and commands a $50 price point over the standard OnePlus 11, which is currently on sale for $749. And looking at this package here, I mean, I guess if you're a massive fan of Genshin Impact, this might be up your alley. Let me know in the comments below. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.